Chess. It's kind of fun, but if you don't have all the pieces, it's really not that fun. But in DeFi, there actually is a protocol that is kind of fun. It's called Tranchess, and it does have a lot of pretty cool pieces inside this protocol. TLDR on Tranchess is that it's a structured, fun portfolio, and it has different tokens inside the protocol. Just like a chess game, there are different pieces that do different things. In general, there are three main tranche tokens. The first is going to be Bishop, which allows for the more stable yields and a slow, steady mover. Then you have Rook, which allows people who are a little more risk on to take a leveraged position. And then you have those long-term bulls that are able to have exposure to the Queen token. I'll go ahead and go over those later in this video, but let's go ahead and give you guys an overview of the Tranchess platform. What better way to do this than going on the website itself? So as you guys can see here on the main Tranchess platform, you have three different tokens that you're dealing with. If you're more risk on and you want leverage exposure to take a leverage long position, you would look for this pool. They have different tokens that you can take leverage long on the Tranchess platform currently. You can do this with BNB, you can do BTCB, or Ethereum. The good news about Rook is that it has a low funding fee, as in you only pay 2.4% per year to hold that position. You can stake your Rook to earn chess, and there is no forced liquidation. So if it goes below a certain point, you aren't liquidated. And here are the different rates of leverage currently for this token. Now, as for Bishop, this one is a little bit different. This one is a little bit less risk on. This one is more of your stable coin. This is going to be earning interest from Rook. It's going to be earning LP fees if you do add liquidity, and you can also stake your Bishop to earn chess. Chess is your governance token for the Tranchess platform. It has a couple of utilities, one being revenue sharing and the second having governance rights. So it can vote on the different pools that actually get different APRs. I'll show you that later in this video. And lastly, Queen. Queen is basically going to follow BNB, Bitcoin, or Ethereum. The difference between holding a Queen token and the actual asset itself, so an example of this would be eQueen or Ethereum, is that the eQueen is equal to Ethereum, but you can stake it and earn the chess token. And you can see here are the different APYs that you can see here. So the TLDR on Queen is that you can earn a higher yield on that actual token itself. So that's the incentive for the Queen token. So let's show you a quick overview of the Queen token. There are different Queen tokens. You have the N Queen, you have the B Queen, and the E Queen. Each of them stand for the different currencies that they represent. The N Queen is going to be BNB, the B Queen is Bitcoin, and the E Queen is Ethereum. These ones have different APYs, and staking your chess token can actually boost the additional yields that you earn on these. Now I know you're asking like, wait, all of these have different APRs, but why in the world is there an alpha APR for BNB? Well, this actually has to do with staking rewards. As you guys can see here inside the white paper, it says Tranchess will host a validator node on Binance Smart Chain and actively manage the staked BNB level on the node. So you're actually earning some fees from staking rewards. This is actually on top of what you'll earn from the staking APR, which is why the APY is a little bit better than the staking APR, and of course because it's compounded, so something else to keep in mind. Now the Queen token is where the magic happens in order to make your Rook and Bishop. So if you have some N Queen, you can literally take one N Queen and split it into the equal parts Rook and Bishop. So the reason why this is showing about 111 is because the price of BNB is actually around $220. And this has to do with the fact that Bishop, of course, is your stable coin and Rook is the other portion. So when you split up one Queen, you get 50 and 50 of each of the other tokens. So when you're actually splitting these, you are getting the 50-50 pairs of the Rook and the Bishop token. Now, of course, the opposite is true. If you want to go ahead and merge these tokens back, you do have a really small fee when you do return these. But as you can see here, as long as you return the 111.48 in Rook and the Bishop, there is going to be a 0.1% fee and you would get back about 0.99 Queen. Of course, it'll be a little bit more than this, but this is how you get your Queen token back. But now with V2, you don't have to go from Rook and Bishop back to Queen. You can actually just go straight out from Rook into any of the other assets that you want with their new upgrades. Now, if you're super bullish on Bitcoin, BNB, and Ethereum, Rook will allow you to take a leverage position. Please keep in mind and be careful with the leverage positions and understand the risks you are taking on. Some of the benefits of the Rook token is that there's no forced liquidation, a low funding fee of 2.4%, and you can stake your Rook to earn chess. So you can have a leveraged long while you can earn a yield doing so. So the best way to trade with this Rook token is, of course, buying low and selling high, especially in a leveraged position. So an example would be if you're buying Bitcoin at 20K and it goes to 21K, that was technically a 5% move, or just about a 5%. And with the 2x leverage, that actually means it's a 10% move on the amount of money you actually put in. So that's similar to how the leverage works. And of course, there is a low funding cost on the Tranchess platform, which is always beneficial. You don't want to be in a leverage long position or any leverage position where you're having to pay 100% APR or even 1% per day to hold that position. The costs are going to add up, period. Later in this video, I'll go over how the rebalancing works and how that affects each of the users if it rebalances to the negative or even to the positive, so you guys can understand what happens when a rebalance occurs. Now, the next token I want to talk about is Bishop. So Bishop has a couple of different features, but the best way to look at this token is like a stable coin, and it's being backed by its underlying assets. Now, a couple things to keep in mind with this Bishop token. These tokens are actually backed by the underlying assets. So this would be like your Bitcoin, your ETH, your BNB, depending on the Bishop token that you take. As I showed you, there's 3 different kinds of the Bishop tokens, and they all have their own yields. As you can see here on the Bishop swap, these are the different yields for N Bishop, B Bishop, and E Bishop. Of course, I mean, if you're wanting to chase the higher yields, you look for the one that is a higher staking reward. And mainly where your staking rewards are coming from is from the Chess token, the main interest of the 2.4%, which you can find on the staking page. To sum up what you can do with the Bishop token, you're earning an additional yield from lending to Rook, and you can earn the staking reward from Chess. Also, if you want to provide liquidity, you can then earn an additional yield. You have the yield from lending to Rook, you have the yield from the Chess APR, and then you have the LP swap fees. Just be aware of impermanent loss. As you guys can see here, these are some of the staking APRs. If you're providing liquidity and depositing your LP token, you can earn about 26 to 80%. And of course, this depends on the VE chess as well, where you're voting for your governance staking reward. And of course, these yields are actually dependent upon the chess stakers, which I'll show you guys later in this video. If you want to add liquidity, they have a really cool feature to where you can single side instead of doing both of the tokens. So if you're lazy, you don't want to go to PancakeSwap, and all you got is a bunch of BUSD, well, you can simply say, hey, I want to add 1,000 worth of BUSD, and you can see here it'll automatically give you the LP tokens, which you can go ahead and stake inside the protocol. Bear in mind what's happening on the back end when you're depositing any of the assets single-sided. It's selling 50% for you for the other asset and then providing liquidity. So it's more of a convenience feature. It's not single-sided staking. If you want to track the peg and see the progress of how it's doing, you can see the fair value of each of the tokens here and how much the price is currently that is trading on the market. You can also swap these at any time for any of the tokens. So you can swap out some of your BUSD when it's trading below peg if you want to arbitrage that, or some people will even trade it when it's above peg because they want to capitalize on the stablecoin yields. So showing you an example of a rebalancing situation, you can actually check out their white paper. NAV represents your net asset value. As you can see here, if the net asset value of the Queen token goes to 0.75, the Bishop to 1.04, and the Rook to 0.46, this 0.46 would actually trigger a rebalancing scenario, to where there's $750 in total assets here, $1,040 for Bishop, and $460 for Rook. So in this scenario, the rebalance is triggered. So after the rebalance, Alice is now going to have 750 Queen tokens worth 1, because the goal is to get these tokens back at 1. You're going to have Bob, who has 460 Bishop, so he did lose some Bishop tokens, but he was replaced with some extra Queen. So now he has 580 Queen tokens. which when you combine both of these, he's actually going to have the same asset value he originally started with. So if he wanted to, he can sell those extra queens back to bishop. And then Carol, with her leverage long position with rook, she now goes from 1,000 to 460. Remember, it's a leverage long, so depending on the token that she had, if it was the BNB, you can see it's 2.09 times leverage. So you can see her position somewhat reflects the 2 times leverage if you compare 460 to the 750. Now, that's for a negative rebalance. Now, if there is a positive rebalance, you can see here this is how the positions would turn out. So if Alice originally started at $1,000 and there is a positive rebalance, she now holds 1,570 queen tokens instead of 1,000, but they're going to be priced at 1. She basically now has more shares of the token, even though it's worth less. So she's just issued more shares while the token goes down. So her actual dollar value is intact, so something to keep in mind. As for Bishop, he now goes to 1,000 Bishop, which is what he always had. He now just has 40 extra queen. So he basically just got an additional bonus. Good for him. And then you have Carol, who has Rook. She was the girl who was like, bruh, I leverage long and I'm going long. So you can see here, she now has 1,100 extra queen. So basically, she just won on that rebalance. This helps to maintain the functionality of each token. For example, like I mentioned to you, when it moves down 50%, the rebalance takes place. The rebalance helps to deleverage the Tranchess ecosystem in a downward trending market. This also allows Bishop as a stable fund to be continuously protected or insulated from depreciating underlying asset value. So these are some things to keep in mind about the Tranchess ecosystem and why it has to rebalance. Now, the last part I want to get into is the staking part. This is where the chess token comes into play. When you lock your chess, you're actually going to be earning an additional APY, and it gives you the right to vote on these different pools. So as you can see here, if you're staking your LP tokens, you're going to be earning a yield. This is the same thing with your queen tokens, your rook tokens, as well as your bishop tokens. This staking APR is going to be in the chess token. Now, your utility for the chess token is to lock your chess for more rewards. So you're going to get this 5% in the chess token, but you're also going to be getting a couple of other rewards. So you're going to get a share of the rebate pool, and you're also going to be able to come over here on governance and vote on these different pools. So let's say, for example, you're in the BTCB pool and you're like, bro, I need to juice my yields. So what you would do is take your chess token, you'd vote on this pool, and this would increase the amount of rewards you earn. Do you guys want to see this in effect? You can see here Bitcoin has the largest share of votes. So as you guys can see here, as the Bitcoin voting rewards are playing out, you can see Bitcoin's pool is twice the size of BNB's, and it still has a higher staking yield. Now, I understand Ethereum has a higher staking yield, but it's because less people are in that pool. So the yield is not as distributed. And you can also see that played out here inside the Rook pool. Any of the users that have exposure to Rook, they're actually able to earn a higher yield on Bitcoin because the staking APRs, because most of the votes are actually going to the Bitcoin pool. So just a couple of things to keep in mind when you're looking at this. So now a couple more things about the chess token. This chess token is actually tradable on Binance, Crypto.com, as well as a couple of other decentralized exchanges like PancakeSwap, ApeSwap, and if you actually want to aggregate prices on Binance Smart Chain, just use something like 1inch, just so you can get the best prices on your chess token. Now, for the VE chess token, like I mentioned to you guys, the longer you lock the VE token, the more you get. And how the breakdown would work is similar to Curve. The main difference between tranches and Curve is that the chess token can be locked for a maximum of 1 year. So in this scenario, if I locked it for 3 months, my VE chess token would be worth 0.25 VE chess. So if I locked one chess, I would get 0.25 VE chess. And if I locked it for 1 year, it would be a 1-to-1 ratio. It's similar to the curve model. So the VE chess token holders actually influence the yields they can gain, especially when they're participating in the protocol, by voting on the different pools that they're in. Just like I showed you in the rebate pool for the VE chess token, that's going to be getting 50% of the protocol income. So now, just like we mentioned to you, you can vote on these different pools, like for BNB, BTCB, and ETH. Just imagine if they start listing some different DeFi protocols. Let's say, for example, it's a leverage long on Aave or a leverage long on Compound. This is where bribes can come into play. This is similar to Curve. So if they want to incentivize people to have more exposure to their token, other users and other protocols would be like, bro, I want to buy some chess tokens so I can now vote on the pool to increase the rewards there so that it will incentivize more people to hold my token. These different bribe games can also occur because this is an inexpensive way for protocols to incentivize users to hold their token without diluting their token share. So you either have to have people stake their LP tokens inside your reward pool and you pay them in your token, or you issue bribes and have other protocols like Tranchess or Curve to emit their token to incentivize the other users to hold the other protocol's tokens. So an example of this would be like Aave, like I mentioned to you guys. Yes, Tranchess is going to Ethereum as well. So something to keep in mind, guys. Now I want to go ahead and summarize this whole video. I knew I threw a lot of stuff at you on a platter, but this is how you are going to pick your different positions if you guys want to participate in tranches. If you are wanting to leverage long on ETH, Bitcoin, or Binance Coin, you would need to either buy BROOK, this is for leveraging on Bitcoin. You would do eRook if you want to leverage position on ETH, or NRook if you want to leverage position on BNB. You guys know how I feel about leverage, so just understand the risks you guys are taking into play when you are taking on a leverage position. Now the next position would be holding Bishop to maximize your yield. This is the stablecoin one. Bishop token will allow you to get a yield by lending out your token to the leverage longers. And you can boost that yield by taking your B Bishop, your E Bishop, or your N Bishop and staking them to earn the chess token. So it's basically a way to get a higher staking yield on a stablecoin. Lastly, if you simply just want to have exposure to the asset, this would be getting exposure through Queen. This is not a leverage position. This isn't a stablecoin. This is just allowing you to have exposure to Bitcoin, ETH, or Binance Coin, and you're able to stake it and earn the chess token. The chess token can be used to further boost your yields by voting on the different pools. You can also stake and lock your chess to earn some of the protocol fees. And if you think there is a potential for additional utilities like bribes to come across and other protocols to bribe for voting on their pools, then that would be another use case for the chess token. Let's go ahead and hit you guys with a wisdom one-liner. Proverbs chapter 13 verses 15. Good judgment wins favor, but the way of the unfaithful leads to their destruction. Be sure to make smart decisions and smart choices. Thanks for watching this video on the Tranchess platform. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys smash up the like and tell me what you guys think of the Tranchess platform. Do you like Bishop? Do you like Rook? Do you like Queen? Or do you not even know what I'm talking about? If you guys don't even remember what I'm talking about, well, let me sum it up here. If you are uber bullish on Bitcoin and want to take a leverage position, you look at Rook. If you want to just have exposure to the asset, no leverage, but you want to earn a high yield, you look at Queen. If you want to have a stable yield and take advantage of the higher lending rates to the people who are leverage longing, well, then you look at Bishop. And then, of course, everything that ties it together is that chess token. The chess is going to be used for governance, for voting on the different pools, for different incentives, and you can also potentially earn some bribes with it. And of course, you're earning the protocol fees. So the more revenue and the more traffic that's running through the protocol, you will also get additional fees. Pretty saucy, man.